Hey guys, it's Adam from ATP Powerlifting, and today we're going to review the Texas Strength Systems GHD/reverse hyper with the seal row attachment. Alright, so why did I get the Texas Strength System version of this combo? So you can also go with row and get the donkey combo, which I'll put right here, but it's considerably more money. Or you can get the Elite FTS combo, which I'll put over here as well, which is also more money, but they both do not offer a seal row attachment. So the idea behind this is that a seal row, GHD, and a reverse hyper all take up a lot of space. So having all three of those combined into one unit was very appealing for me, especially since as of right now, I don't have my own facility and I'm working out of my garage. Having something that can do all three of these movements and have one rather large footprint than three this size is something that's really important to me. So this retails for about $990 for just the combo part itself. So that's the reverse hyper with the GHD. To get the additional seal row attachment, I want to say it was another $130, but again, I'll put the prices up here. Shipping was rather expensive. I want to say it was like right under $430 for shipping. And then if you compare that to its Rogue's counterpart of the donkey's right at about, I think it's $1950 before shipping and tax. So you're looking at over $2,200 for the Rogue donkey, and it still doesn't have the seal row attachment. So that's what had me push towards this one rather than the Rogue donkey. Was this had a 3-in-1 versus the Rogue donkey that only had the 2, and it was considerably more money. So I will say there's quite a few things that I wish they refined on this. I like the idea and the concept of it, but there's a lot of things they could have did better in my opinion. So starting off, I really don't like how there's no UHMW plastic inside of the seal row attachment. So up until a couple months ago, these used to be bolted on. So you kind of had the option of moving these to wherever you wanted because there was a flange that came down here. But now these are in one place, which I do like that it's welded on there, but now it's stuck in this position. So when you pick this up out of the rack and you're in the seal row position, there's not a lot of distance between this and the front of here. So you're really struggling with where you're rowing after you pick it up out of the rack to not come in and hit this. And I mean, I'm 6 feet tall, so I have pretty long arms. You can see where the pin adjustment is. I could pick this up if this was all the way down. So there's not enough of clearance that I can just kind of pull my chest up and then completely clear that. I need enough of room in here to clear it. So I would have preferred, personally, if these were up and forward, because then I could pick them up out of the rack and just let my arms swing to a neutral position, and then I wouldn't get a chance of hitting them. But them being in the front is just not what I would personally prefer. There's a few other like nitpicky things that I really don't like about it. This is actually the step up. So this is where you would step onto to get into it, right? Well, they put 2 holes here to put it on this side or that side, but there's only one of them. So you can really only get on this machine in one position from one side. And that being said, I would have really liked if they put this on all 4 corners. So here, here, and then in the front on the opposite side as well. And as soon as you step up onto this, I probably won't even have to work too hard. But this plastic plug pops out all the time and it just pisses me off. It's pretty cheap material on the Rogue bench. What is it, that one right there? That one right there. It has a big, huge plug in it on the back. And it's not this solid, flimsy piece of plastic. It's like a UHMW plastic that you hammer in there, and that thing's never going to come out, like unless you cut open the side of it, because I had to hammer it in there. I wish they did something like that rather than this little plug, because every single time I step up on here or I have a client step up on it, the plug just comes flying out. So I'm about to stop putting it back in. It didn't come with any instructions, so I got the whole entire thing, what I thought was together, and I had the step left over, and I was trying to figure out where the step went, and I finally had to reach out to a couple of my friends that got this as well that recommended it to me, and one of them didn't know where it went either, and then my other friend that owns Trinity Strength Systems had it and knew where it went right away, which I guess he was just smarter than I was. But I couldn't find it anywhere in the pictures online, and like I said, there's no instructions that come with it. So it's not a big deal because it's pretty simple to put together. But I know there's gonna be some people out there that just really wish they had instructions so they were not questioning where everything went. The next thing I'm not a big fan of is if you come up over here, is this plate is really heavy, which I don't care about that, but usually I don't struggle with adjusting any machines, right? So this foot plate, sometimes when you're trying to adjust it, it does not move super well because it's binding up. Now, that might be because I got the larger foot plate. They're usually about this small, but there's an option to get a bigger one, so there's gonna be more weight on the back of this leaning back, so it kind of gets pinched on there. So I kind of know how to finagle it back and forth now, but it's definitely not something that's very graceful to do. And the same with this adjustment right here. Coming all the way up and down. You can see the foot plate, not that you would want to go much lower than that, but the foot plate is hitting on the back. And so these extra holes here are pretty useless to go any further down. You can't go further down anyway. And I thought it was really weird that there was this much slop in the machine and there was no tightening knob. Well, this tightening knob they actually had to send me because they forgot it. But you see how that bung is welded in there for the tightening knob? I'll take the knob out. The bung right there, that's what I call it. That's what like an O2 sensor would be, like a bung is welded in there. So it was missing the knob, which wasn't a big deal at all. But they actually forgot to weld the bung in on the other half. So this piece is this piece. And on the opposite side of here, there is no bung. So there's no way to take the slop out of this. So I went online and I saw that they had this as like an option, like not an option, but online, like that's how it was set up. And I contacted them and it was a mistake. So they sent me out a whole nother one. So what I am gonna say is you can't really badmouth a company that when you reach out, they instantly say, no, we'll take care of that. So I'm very grateful that I reached out and right away with no problem, the owner of Texas Strength Systems was like, yeah, we'll just send you out another one. Didn't ask for shipping, didn't ask me to return the other one. So that was really nice. But even me, like I didn't know there was supposed to be a knob there. So most people, if this were happening to them, they would probably just be dealing with this because they wouldn't know that there is supposed to be a knob there. So I could see how that would be frustrating, but if that happened to you, just reach out to them and they should just send you another one. So this is not the most graceful thing to get in and out of. And the difference between this and the Rogue Donkey and almost every other GHD is that this bar goes straight across. So again, I'll link that Donkey picture up in the top right corner, or even a GHD. So you can see, usually there's an adjustable lever right here, and then this is all open. So you can pretty much stand right in between it, get on it, and get your feet in here, which this is definitely higher as well. So not only is it harder to get into because this bar is here, but it's also higher up than most other GHDs. So if you have a larger individual or someone that's clumsy, it's very awkward for them to get in it the first few times. And I have some clients that they try to get up in there, and after the first time, they don't want to go back up in there simply because it was so hard for them to get up in there. So you think, if you have a woman that's 5'5" and weighs 250 pounds, and you want her to do the seal row, she's probably not going to be that happy about trying to get up inside of this thing. And the same thing, I step up on this, it's even harder trying to step up on there. So if we step up in it, and we get our feet set, we're in this position, but then look where that bar is. So that doesn't make me feel too safe either if I slide down. And then once you get off, you have to take your foot off and try to get it up on this bar and then come back down versus the other GHDs, you'd be able to just put your foot straight down because this bar isn't there. So I'll show you the operation of the GHD itself. It's fine, there's no issues. It works just like you would imagine it would. Right? There's nothing wrong with this, it's just hard to get in and out of. Ooh. And I was gonna say that too, is the pads are really loose on here. So usually if you look at like a bench, if we go up to this bench right here, this material is tight. Like it's really hard to move the material out of the way and kind of bunch it up. And the reason why you do that, it's more secure, but also it doesn't rub back and forth and create friction on itself and then try to get a hole in it from friction long term. So if you look at this, right away, look at all this extra material we can get from this thing. And I think the other one's even worse, but there's a lot of extra material there, and I would think over time, it's just gonna get looser. It's not gonna get any tighter. Ha ha ha. Right, this one too, yeah, look at all the extra material left over. So I mean, if it was me, I would have tried to crank this and pulled the material down behind tighter before I stapled the material on. So that's not a big issue, but it's all these little tiny things that just keep adding up for me over and over and over. None of these are huge. It's just when you look at it in one great big aspect, it's like, becomes less appealing. So to swap this GHD out, right, GHD? Yeah, I always call it the wrong thing. The GHD out, we gotta pull this up out of here and we gotta loosen these knobs. And right away, you can see how much resistance it takes to kind of pull that out. And also realize, like, look how, I'm 6 feet tall and I'm pulling almost up to shoulder level to get it out. So someone who's 5 foot tall, like Mela, is trying to pull this out of here is not an easy thing to accomplish. So we're gonna go to the reverse hyper first. So we gotta switch the pad out. We're gonna pop the pad down in there. And then just like any other reverse hyper, here's where your feet go, but there's also a handle. So we're gonna move this back, get it out of the way. We can stick the handle in there. Am I doing this wrong? No, I'm not. I swear I've done this before. There we go. We're gonna stick our feet in here, just like any other reverse hyper. Our hip's gonna go up on this pad, and then we're gonna hold the handles, and we're gonna go up. So this is gonna look a little weird because I don't have any weight on it, but you get the idea. You can push the handles further back or further forward. Another thing I don't like is how flimsy these handles are. Like if you're going pretty heavy on the reverse hyper, you kind of want something that's locked in there. Like I really wish that it was something that snapped in there or had a tightening knob or something, not just this pivot. Just, I'm not a big fan of it. So then if we want to go to the seal row, we got to put the chest support piece in. And this is with the reverse hyper pad. Put the bar in there. Ooh. It's gonna be a little awkward because the garage door is closed, but leave it like that. And then I like this pretty much as far back as it'll go. Again, keep in mind, I'm 6 feet tall, and I've had one of my clients who's about 6'3" and was all the way back and his knees were still bent. So I'd say anyone over 6'3", this might be a little awkward. So you can see if I straighten my legs all the way, straight down, my arms are going to be in the way of where these hooks are, like I was talking to you about earlier. So we pick it up out of the rack, and I gotta slide down here, so see how bent my knees are, so that I'm not hitting these front unrack posts, and then I can come up. What else I don't like is if I really want to tuck my elbows in, I can't because the pad's there. A normal steel row, I did that for dramatic effect. In a normal steel row, this pad isn't going to be this long. you're gonna be on almost just a really high bench where your elbows can be outside of the pad. So this is limiting what kind of row variation you can do. Like you can really only do a really high touching row. You can't row down towards your belly button. You have to row up into your chest, right? Or else you're gonna hit your elbows on here. Again, you could try to push yourself forward, but now when you come all the way down, you come into hitting. And even if I put them all the way down, me being 6 foot tall, I still kind of hit them. The other thing, going back to that, these hooks aren't wide enough, at least in my opinion. So I'd say a lot of people like to do a row with about where their bench press grip is. So let's assume that your bench press grip is pinky on the rings. So let's come up and look at the bar. This is a normal power bar. See where the rings are? The bar is perfectly centered right now. It's almost touching that hook, and it's almost touching that hook. So I'm okay with being a little bit more narrow, but I would like the ability to go wider and do a wider grip. But to do that, if there's 225 on the bar or even 185 on the bar, it's really hard to get your hands in that position, shift the bar around, and then put it down without pinching your fingers. So I wish these were wider and further back. So now let's think about what this machine is for. Who is it built for? Is this gonna be in a home gym or is this gonna be in a commercial gym? So right away, I'll tell you, you see all these pieces all over the ground? So we got the handle for the reverse hyper. We have 1, 2, 3 different pads. If you were to throw all of this stuff in, let's say, a Gold's gym or even a powerlifting based gym, you could have someone know what a GHD is and what a reverse hyper is and look at this and go, what pads do I put where? Right? Like, let's just be for real. Like, how do we know right off the bat, like, oh, if this is set up on here like that and that pad is shoved underneath, we're just gonna assume with no pictures, no stickers or anything like that, that this can also be a GHD, not just a seal row or a reverse hyper. I think most people, if they look at this, they're gonna see those hooks in the front and they're gonna assume this is probably just a seal row and nothing else. So I think this is gonna be best placed for a home gym. You're trying to minimize the amount of space that you're taking up. You can have 3 machines in one versus if someone's buying this for like a commercial use, it's just too hard to understand. It's not just click, click, click and adjust. It's actually switching components out. And like I would never assume, even if I had switched the pads and everything on it, that those handles were necessarily for the reverse hyper. I probably just tried holding the pad or something until someone actually showed me how to use it. So if you're just looking for something that is space effective and can do all 3 of these movements, yes, it's fitting as long as you know what you're getting into, but this isn't going to be something that I think is going to go well in a commercial gym because it's just going to sit there because people aren't going to know what to do with it. I also forgot to mention that it does, well, when I bought it, it did come with band pegs. So these band pegs are most likely for the GHD. So they go, just slide in here. And then the nut goes on, and how many are there? There's 4 of them, and I haven't used these yet. They've just sat off of the machine. So we slide them on there, and then you can use bands with them. Like I said, when I got this, those were included. Now they're an additional $30 to get that action added on. So besides all that other stuff I mentioned, now my own personal experience with getting this is I bought this, and all that showed up initially was this cross member piece from UPS because they had told me they forgot to ship one of the components and that was going to show up earlier. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just make sure it's on the way. So I contact them and they go, oh, it didn't show up. They kind of look into it and they say, oh, the rest of it's arriving freight because this is like 430 pounds with the pallet and everything they put it on. So I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. A couple weeks go by and I reach back out to them. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Why isn't it still here? And I go, I did notice that you put my shipping address as my billing address, and I don't live there anymore. So can we change it? And they go, oh yeah, we can change it, but it should be there within the next 5 days or so. But we'll let the courier know, like it's going to that address rather than there. And it's only a mile difference from where we were renting versus where we bought. So it wasn't a big deal. So another week goes by, and it's still not here. So I reach out again. And I can't get through to them. So I go and I reach out to the courier for the shipping information that I got. And what happened was when they changed the address, everyone wasn't communicating with everyone. So I guess there was some type of fee involved and they had to sign some paperwork and someone dropped the ball and it was just stuck in Phoenix. So I ended up calling them and just say, hey, I'm like 40 minutes away. Can I just go pick it up? And they're like, oh yeah, you can do that. So when I got back here, they actually reached out to me and I told them what I had to go through and everything. And they did reimburse me $100 for the shipping. To me, it's not really a big deal, but for some people to go drive 40 minutes to go get it, I could see how they would get very frustrated. But again, like, they reimbursed me money. All the problems I did have, like with the attachment not having the knobs and stuff on it, and the stickers didn't come with it because I did order it bare steel. So for those of you that don't care what it looks like I'm trying to go with a kind of bare steel theme when I open up my gym. So I wanted it bare steel. I got it, I sanded it down, and I clear coated it so it wouldn't rust. But how much was it? I have it written down on here. I saved $90 getting it bare steel and not painted, but I still wanted the decals. So they did send me the decals as well, which I do have to put down the side of it, but it all ended up working out in the end. So would I buy this again? If I didn't have it, I could just restart. Honestly, I probably wouldn't buy this again. The reason why I was buying this was because it had all three involved in one, the seal row, the GHD, and the reverse hyper. So I was like all set out, I'm gonna buy the Rogue Donkey. It looks good, it's more expensive, which I didn't care that it was more expensive. I just liked that this had another piece of equipment built into it that would have been a rather large footprint. Because when I open my facility, it's probably gonna start between 3,000 and 5,000 square feet. So it's like realistically, I don't have a lot of room to have 3 different pieces of equipment or even another just separate seal row. Because again, it would be this size. Now, if they refined it, if they put the UHMW plastic, if they made the pad a little different, I'd even like it if they set it up like a regular GHD where that center bar wasn't there, but they're probably not going to ever change that because their regular GHDs are set up like this as well. Just a lot of little things that add up. The different steps and stuff that are there. It doesn't seem long enough, again, for individuals over 6'3". There's just, it's complicated. When I put this in the gym, like I said, I don't think anyone's gonna really know what to do unless I show them or they're really into it and they know what this piece of equipment is. So I don't think I would be purchasing this again. I'd probably just be going with the Rogue Donkey long term. Now, if they did refine this and fix some of those issues, yes, I would like it. I would keep it. But currently, how it's set up, I can't see myself even keeping this one long term. Again, in a franchise gym, I don't see it. If, again, you're a home gym owner, you want all 3 pieces of equipment, that's where I would recommend it. I think this is the only one on the market that it can have the seal row built into it, so that would make the most sense if you're a home gym owner to pick this up, and it is more price effective. This shipped before the bare steel discount was right at $1,591, and again, the Rogue counterpart was like about $22, so you're saving like around $600. But for me, I would rather them invest more money into this, and if this cost me, let's say the same amount but had the seal row in it, but they refined it all, I'd rather spend more money and get everything I want rather than have that lack of refinement. One of the other things that I forgot to mention, which I wish they really did, was instead of treating this like a combo rack and having these pins you gotta take out, like how much harder would have it been to put like just a little adjustable knob that you pull out to adjust the height of this, right? Because again, these in a franchise gym, even in a home gym, they're gonna get lost and you're gonna be sticking a screwdriver or something in here to adjust the height of it, right? They could have put something like this knob right here on these two and it would have been so much nicer, looked so much cleaner. But again, that refinement just isn't there and it's missing. I hope that helped you make a decision on whether you should get this Texas Strength seal row GHD reverse hyper combo or not. If you like this, leave me a like, comment, subscribe. That's all from me. Thanks.
I got a shot and I ain't stoppable. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.